I want to say hello today to a fantastic guest, a woman called Michelle McGrade, who is one of the UK's top finance experts. Michelle, welcome today. Thank you for giving me your time to talk to me today.
No, it's my pleasure. Lovely to talk to you.
Now, I want to help people, Michelle, that are watching this video right now, people that think, actually, maybe they haven't even thought about it, but they've maybe seen you on TV or they've seen people on TV and they don't even realise they could go on TV as an expert too. Or perhaps talking to you today might inspire them to think, actually, I can have a go at that as well. I could be on TV. Now, we met 4 years ago now in 2016 when I was working for one of your former companies that you were chief investment officer of. And we had huge success with you. I mean, you got on television, national TV news, national radio, international TV, over 100 times in not a large amount of time. I think it was about 9 months. Now, tell me, why did you decide to go on television later in your career rather than earlier?
Well, actually, Kerry, I didn't decide to do it. It was my firm that decided that I would do it. And I was basically physically pushed into the TV studio. They thought that I would be good at talking to their investors and potential investors. And they had the faith in me. I didn't have the faith in me. And so I did this first interview on BBC talking about gender. I was terrified, absolutely terrified. And I can't say actually that I did an amazing job, but what I can tell you is I learned so much from doing a live interview. And actually, that's what kick-started me.
What did you learn doing that live interview?
Well, what I learned was that everything that I had been taught by Broadcast Ready and your good self is that it works. So things like be yourself, know your subject. In fact, that is so important. And be confident. And the rest just happens. And so, you know, I realized I didn't handle any of that particularly well at the time, but I did realize that actually if I had followed the advice that I'd been given, that I would do okay. So that's kind of why I continued. And to be honest, I must have been reasonable because the BBC did ask me back.
That's humble. I mean, everybody's scared on the first TV interview, and I think the worst thing that you can do is sit there thinking, wow, 3 million people are watching me now, or wow, I've got 500,000 people watching me. It's best to just sort of think, just me in this conversation with this TV presenter. But if you go back 4 years ago, you put a lot of work into the preparation of each interview. Do you think it was, I mean, how much, because some people might be watching thinking, oh, I can't really be bothered, I've got to do my day job. So how much work did you put in? And then with all the practice that you did and the more interviews you did, you obviously got better and better because it's like riding a bike. How much would you put in now, for example, if BBC called you up today to get you on TV?
Well, if they called me up today, I'd probably go right back to first principles because I haven't done it for a long time. But I used to do a lot of research and it worked twofold for me because the research I was doing for a particular topic, usually it was about investments and that was my specialty and that's what I knew about. But when you're talking on as an expert, you've really got to know the detail, and sometimes detail of products or actual numbers and things, you're not thinking about them all the time in your day-to-day work and you do need to be refreshed. What's the ISA limit and that sort of thing. You just got to make sure that you say the right number. And so, yes, I did a lot of research and it put me bang up to date with everything. And did it take me away from my day job? Well, the amount of interviews I had did, I think, because as you said, I did a lot of interviews. It wasn't only television. I did radio, and I also put a lot of articles in the press as well. And so actually, for me, it was starting to dominate my job. But really my job was to communicate to the firm's investors. So really, that was the job. But what I did learn is you've got to know your stuff, and you've got to have facts. They want facts. They want to know how many people have got an ISO in the UK. They want to know that stuff. It's information. So you've got to have that at hand. The other thing is that when you go into an interview, you're usually only there for 3 to 10 minutes. And so therefore you've got to really focus on what you want to say, or what they really want you to come on and say. So actually it's 3 things.
Yeah.
You know, if you can get more than 3 things out in 10 minutes, then I'd be very surprised. And then there's the ancillary stuff that they will ask you that you just weren't expecting. And that's why you need to do your backup. But there's nothing wrong also saying, oh, actually, I'll get back to you on that one. And as you just said earlier, it's all about having a rapport with the person you're speaking to, so that you just think you're talking to that person. And so if you're talking to that person offline, you should think about it in the same terms.
Yeah, now you mentioned about how, you know, you've got to get your facts straight. I mean, that's vital. Somebody at your level, you know, you're a chief investment officer, you're a board director, would you had support, you know, would you advise people that if they can sort of get analysts to get involved, get PR people to start putting those facts together as well as you doing your own research?
Yeah. So I did do that as well. I got people to help me because I couldn't gather all the facts personally myself. But then you've just got to go through it all. You've got to actually be very confident that people are putting the facts together for you, are getting the right data. So I suppose that's a given. But on the whole, you've still got to review it. You've still got to, you know, put it inside of you so that you can bring it out again and actually say it. You know, the other thing about it is that it enhances how you speak at board meetings, how you speak to staff and big you know, conference or seminar type conversations. So actually none of it goes to waste, you know. I think it's all good for you.
And how many new sales inquiries did the company get as a result of taking on broadcast PR for the first time?
Look, actually, I think that was the amazing thing. So one thing was that I did the interview and I'd learned a lot from it, and the BBC asked me back, so I did some more. But the other thing that really drove me was the response from our clients.
Right.
I was actually overwhelmed by the response from our clients, because all of a sudden we started gathering assets under management that we had never done before. So over a space of 9 months in 2016, when the market was tanking, because I don't know if you'll remember, but oil fell to $18 a barrel, markets got very scared. And so people were leaving the markets in droves. But not where I was working at TD Direct Investing. We were gaining assets under management. We gained £1 billion over that period. And so that was really gratifying. And I think, you know, why was that, you know? And I've asked a lot of people, why me? Because I still, to this day, do not believe I'm the best commentator out there. But I think the things that I was fed back was trust. People looked at me and heard me and thought, I trust this person. They know that she knows what she's talking about and she sounds sincere. And I think those are the 2 things that drove the success.
So in the 9 months, you got £1 billion worth of extra assets, which is what, $1.4 billion, is that?
Yes, probably, yes.
US dollars. And how many of those was from existing clients versus getting on new clients?
So we were gaining new clients as well, but that's a kind of difficult question. So a lot of clients who were fairly dormant. So we had a big client base that just was sitting there doing nothing. So in effect, a lot of them were new clients. The other thing, actually, while we talk about assets under management, that was one thing. They started to buy stocks and shares and funds. But the other thing that happened was we had a big trading base. And our trading base, so people who trade, some people who trade professionally, some people who just really like the stock market. There's quite a lot of platforms that they could do that on. And increasingly, they came to us. And our trading increased 7-fold over that period as well, which was, just went to our bottom line. It was great for profitability for the firm.
Over the 9 months of you going on television and radio?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
That is just, those results are just incredible.
Yeah, no, they were absolutely incredible. And I like those results because I think the people who invest like that, semi-professional investors, if they felt confident in what I was saying, then I'm going, oh, okay, maybe I do know a thing or two about investing, and they trusted me and listened to me. So I thought that was great for my own confidence.
Yes, I think that's one thing you do come across as sincere, trustworthy. I would agree with that. I'd definitely agree with that feedback. And so, do you wish you'd done this now when you were younger, or in your 20s, 30s, or was there just not an opportunity for you to do it then?
Yes, I wish I'd learned about it, that I had the confidence to do it earlier. In fact, my oldest daughter is in the investment industry as well, and I really encourage her to step up to the plate. And she suffers from exactly the same problems. I don't know. But actually, she could do, she's much more knowledgeable than me. She's going to fly in her career. But yes, I really think that, because I really enjoyed it in the end. I did some, fun things. I think, BBC morning television up in Manchester, sitting on the red couch, talking to Naga, or more often actually I was sitting on high stools talking to the Stephanie. But that was fun because they enjoy what they do. And now I watch them on passing. I'm not a big television watcher myself, but I watch them on television and I go, yeah, they have fun. They really enjoy what they do.
Yeah.
And it would be great to be part of that. And the same with CNBC. It was a much more a difficult experience, I suppose. When I was going on one time to CNBC and somebody was coming off, the guy who was coming off said to me, "They're Rottweilers," And he said, "Just be careful." But I got on and I really enjoyed them. I enjoyed the banter. I enjoyed the tough questions, and that's getting back to knowing your stuff. And so that was good fun.
Yeah, they don't need to be a Rottweiler with everyone. And also it's sort of what you perceive. You could perceive something totally differently to somebody else, could you?
Yeah, for sure.
So, actually, you say that you haven't been on for a while. I think it was 1 year ago the last time you was on, and we did get a request for you, although you're not a direct client anymore of mine. We did get a request for you to go on TV only about a month ago, but you couldn't make it. So things still trickle through a little bit. Now you're working for M&G. You're not working full time anymore. You're a non-exec director. You've gone down that road. Sainsbury's pension scheme, you're in any non-exec director, and diverse income investments trust, and startups. you're also advising. Do you want to get back into full-time employment, or are you enjoying what you're doing now?
Yeah, no, I'm very much enjoying what I'm doing now. And but the sad thing is, from a television point of view, is that I'm not a spokesperson for anybody. So it's very hard for me to go onto television, and I think very hard for the companies to take somebody on just as an independent expert. They really want people to be attached to a firm. And at this point in time, you know, I can't do that. I can only really speak for myself. But what I am doing is I'm just moving on a bit. So I'm not so much doing things on television, but I'm doing a lot of things in conferences. So I chair a lot of panels, and I quite enjoy chairing panels. I've been on a few panels as well. Anything usually about investments. Usually get a couple of fund managers up there talking about their strategies, and I ask some questions. But more recently, I've been asked about being a non-executive director. And so I've been on panels for that. I've done a podcast about that. And next week, there's a new fund boards council, a council that is trying to be a members only symposium really for non-executive directors in the finance industry in London. And they have a conference next week, and I'm on a panel talking about being a non-exec director. So that's the sort of thing I'm doing now. So all the hard work that I did in the past, I'm using now.
Yes.
In a different way.
Now, we were in the, and I just wanted to correct myself actually. I said that you were a direct client, but what I meant was a full-time client like we used to be, where we was literally talking to each other every day for a whole year. Or at least
2 years, so yeah.
I love that time though. I've got such a buzz, getting you guys on, getting you on television so often. I miss that buzz actually. I just love it. I just love seeing a story break and then giving you guys a call and getting you on air. Because I just see how happy it makes people, and not just you, the person that's getting on air, but the company itself. All the staff, all the employees. They're like, wow, we must be working for a really good company. We're on television, and the motivation as well. Everyone's sort of tuning in to watch you at sort of 8 o'clock in the morning when they get into the office. And the recognition as well, because we did some research, Broadcast Ready, with TNS, polling company, and it said that a third of the people that watch you on BBC Breakfast or BBC News or ITV News, whichever news programme it is, actually got the phone and they're either Googling your name or the company name to look you up. So it's really powerful. I just love that knock-on effect. So we did an event recently, didn't we, Michelle, at House of Commons, and you were the guest speaker about 3-4 months ago. Now, there was a lady sitting next to you called Lisa Davis, and she said, I was sat next to Michelle, and I was like, I've definitely seen her before. I recognise her. I've seen her on television. And so even though it was 2016, 2017 that we did all the TV, I think it was 2017. Yeah. Lisa still recognises you from television. You've never met Lisa before. Do you find that people come up to you even today, or when was the last time somebody came up to you and said, I recognise you from TV?
Well, it's a long time ago. I tell you, actually, people who, I've just been back to New Zealand, and for actually a whole month looking after older people, thing we have to go through in our lives. But anyway, I spent a whole month there, and it was quite interesting because a lot of television that you do, say at 5 o'clock in the morning, you think nobody's really watching it, but they're watching it around the west of the world. And so actually when I was in New Zealand, people would say, I remember I used to see you on television, didn't I? Because, I'd go to have been to school with them, so I hadn't seen them for 30 years. And then all of a sudden my name rocks up on their television screen. and they're all cooking dinner at the time because they're on the other side of the world and stuff. And, you know, they go, ah, I know her. And so that's recent, but not really. I don't think, you know, I certainly, I'm not, you know, I don't walk down the street and people go, oh, I know you. But at industry events, you know, people probably know me more than if they did before. Yeah, so it does live with you a bit. Yeah, make sure you say the right thing. That's the thing. That's why, and you've got to enjoy it, I think.
Yes, that definitely comes across whether you enjoy it or not. Just because as well, because it's just a screen like this. So whereas if it's the theatre, you really have to exaggerate those, you know, expressions as an actor because it's so far away. But this is TV, so everything's super zoomed. So any micro expression just gets picked up by the viewers. Big time.
Yes, absolutely, yeah.
And so what else? I mean, what else is on the pipeline for you in 2020 then? Is there any chance that you can do any TV interviews again, given that you like it so much and it's benefited your career? Might there be any chance?
Oh, definitely. I mean, you know, as you know, I would always try and say yes. But it has to be, I just think now, perhaps not, you know, being the market expert, I don't necessarily, you know, I have to sort of find other topics to talk about, really, which is things like personal saving, what else can I talk about? And this whole thing about gender diversity and being a non-exec director and that sort of things, that may not necessarily be all, you know, it's not an everyday thing on television, but if they want to ask about it and discuss it, they're all, you know, at least twice a year they're asking questions about why aren't there more women on boards, why aren't there more women in senior situations and firms, and so I can discuss that.
Yeah. And obviously it benefited the company and they, you know, they paid for the PR company, they paid all the expenses. How has it benefited you personally though? Have people treated you with more respect? Have men treated, you know, men in business, have they treated you with more respect now they've seen you on TV? Have you been able to command a higher, not salary because you're not on a wage now, but a higher income?
Yeah, I've definitely benefited because people believe that if you can do things on television, then you've kind of made it, and you've got something over other people because most people are too scared to go on television. And so they have an added respect for you for doing that. And it gives you, it shouldn't really, should it? But it gives you a bit of kudos, I think. And, you know, there are people doing amazing things, amazing jobs all around the world that just don't get the recognition that they deserve. You get on TV and people like what they see, and then all of a sudden you get this amazing kudos. So I don't quite get it, but it's the way of our life nowadays. So yes, it's always helpful. So definitely media presence, and so, you know, I will build out my portfolio of non-executive jobs. I want a few more. I don't want too many more because I don't, you know, I'm enjoying my life doing things. I do charity work, I'm helping with a few startups. I am actually trying to play golf much more regularly and trying to get good at it. So these are, you know, so, you know, I'm being a bit choosy right now, but saying that I understand the media, how it works, a lot of firms really do need help with it. Communicating with people, communicating online, how do you do that? You know, it's all strings to my bow, to be honest, that I can sort of put on my CV and tell people what I do and what I can do. And being on TV is absolute evidence that you've done it.
Yeah, definitely. So, given that you are such a big investment expert, as I call you one of the best in the UK, I've been reading some books by David Back, who's an American guy, author. He's written quite a lot of books actually on finance, such as Start Late, Finish Rich, Smart Women Finish Rich, and then the latte factor. I mean, part of the latte factor is things like how much is your latte costing you? You know, you could save $2,000 a year every just that latte that you're buying every day. But particularly today, he's really going big on the benefits of saving and compound interest. Now, interest rates are at, you know, rock bottom at the moment, which is great if you're buying a house and you're paying a mortgage, but not very good if you want to save and invest. Also, you've got people like myself who are running our own company. You've got other people that might be not running a limited company, but self-employed. You've got people in the gig economy. Not all those people are necessarily going to have a pension or getting a pension, which is one thing that David recommends getting ASAP is a 401k, because that's the American version of a pension, isn't it? Yeah. Now, what I want to say is, given you are an expert in investment, would you join me again, Michelle, for the viewers out there, to help the women, help the men, help the viewers watching, how they can basically stop wasting their money, stop buying all these expensive designer bags that they probably can't afford, and buying them on a credit card, just so that they can just help people really have a better, more secure life, and then later on in life they've got a nice pot that they can retire on and don't need to worry about working if they can't or they don't want to. Would you come back on again to talk to me?
Oh, look, definitely, Kerry, because I'm very passionate about this, and you know, people need to understand that saving early is a really good idea. Just to your point about interest rates are really low at the moment. Really have to start investing in the stock market, and there are ways of doing that, you know, that you can do it without being too scared by buying diversified funds from the likes of Vanguard and a lot of other people out there. But the other thing as well is keep thinking about yourself and yourself being the asset, because as you're building your business, you are your asset, aren't you? And but as you start out your job as a nurse or a teacher or an accountant or a hairdresser or a barista, whatever it is, always make sure you do your job really well. Be the best at whatever you're trying to do, so that you can exploit your own asset, get a better wage. Therefore, if you get a better wage, you're going to earn more. Therefore, then you might have a little bit more to put aside. So, yes, definitely love to talk to you about it.
That would be great, yes, and don't spend all that you're earning. That is the key thing. Yeah. Don't spend it all.
Yeah,
well, definitely. That would be great, actually. This book, I read it, and I read it on holiday in Italy over Christmas, and because I thought I can't go back to England without doing something productive business-wise, because that's how my mind works.
Okay, I'm going to have to go and buy that book with my savings.
Yeah, you should buy that book, and then we should have another
chat.
Investment for Dummies or something. Maybe we'll call that video.
Okay.
For newbies.
Brilliant.
That would be great, Michelle. Well, thanks very much for talking to me today and for sharing your knowledge and expertise with other people to be able to help them.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. If anybody wants to get in touch with Michelle, I'll put some details at the bottom of this link so you'll be able to contact her directly. Well, that's all for today. Thanks very much. Bye. Thanks, Michelle. Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye, everyone.